fatal collision after a driver turns right on red. Drone operators who captured Seahawks parade footage could face charges. And the best places in Seattle to cry. But first, the Seahawks are up for sale, and the team has been valued at upwards of $6 billion. Creative producer Sam J Leeds, what would you spend that money on?
Ugh, Jane, this is such a hard question. Um,
It's a lot of money.
I know,
You could buy a lot of things.
the ethical part of me is like housing for all. The not ethical part of me is like, how do I vanish and never be seen again? Like, buy an island, move all my friends to an island, and just like vanish from the capitalist world that we live in.
I think 6 billion would be like plenty enough to do that. What about you, Chase Hutchinson, journalist and film critic? What would you spend that money on?
So I think the two biggest crises of this year have been housing and the loss of some of our best movie theaters. And so I'm going to combine and say a co-op movie theater that also doubles as housing and employment for people that are dealing with homelessness. That's my win-win. I think that would be amazing.
I would live there. You pop down to the little common area, you see a beautiful film in your evenings for free.
The one issue I see is that your house would always smell like popcorn.
Hey, there are worse things.
That
is
doesn't
true.
seem like that big an issue to me, personally. It sounds kind of like utopia. Well, turning to more serious news, on Monday night, a pedestrian was killed on Capitol Hill while crossing the intersection at Pine and Bellevue. According to the Seattle Police Department, the victim was a 27-year-old woman, and she was trapped under a Toyota Prius that was turning right off of Bellevue onto Pine. Do you all know that intersection?
Yes.
What is your impression of that intersection?
It's one of those ones where like design of a city's streets are a very important thing to prevent things like this happening.
Yeah, I feel like the whole sort of Pike Pine corridor and the areas surrounding it are just so busy all the time, and the sort of intersection between the sheer number of people that are on the sidewalks and the number of people who are trying to drive through that area and are annoyed by the fact that there's like city life happening there. It just always sort of feels like it's a contest, and pedestrians always lose in contests with cars. So
Truly.
it definitely is in desperate need of a redesign.
Yeah, I feel like every time I've been at that intersection, the lights are short for both pedestrians and drivers, and I just sense a lot of frustration, especially among just how busy it is in that intersection with like so many restaurants, a lot of delivery drivers, a lot of folks who are probably trying to find parking or navigate where they're going. Hearing that this was the intersection where this happened, it kind of unfortunately didn't surprise me, just because I have seen so many pedestrian car conflicts at that corner before.
I think the thing that I think about is like there's certainly like things we can say of you individually should be careful, but also individual kind of responsibility can only go so far. Like there should be a conversation of how do we build a better city generally to prevent situations like this from even happening, because respectfully, not everybody is a Fast and Furious, like quick reflex driver. It's just not something we can ask of them, nor would we want to. I don't want Fast and Furious drivers hopping up on curbs to avoid people. It would just be better to have it be that hopefully situations like this don't have any sort of risk of potentially leading to a tragedy such as this.
Road design definitely seems to be a factor here. In particular, the fact that this driver was turning right on red from a smaller side street onto this main street, Pine. So, Sam, I know we got an email from a listener recently about this right on red question.
Mm-hmm. This listener emailed us and said, last week I noticed that the intersection closest to my home in Northeast Seattle suddenly has 3 no turn on red signs going north, east, and west, but not south. I swear they showed up in the middle of the night. This is inconvenient because I usually make a right turn on red to get home. A quick Google search indicates that in 2023, a bunch of these signs were added in Seattle for pedestrian safety. As a frequent walker, and after my mom was hit by a car in a crosswalk a few years ago, I'm
Eek.
pro pedestrian safety. Anyhow, since I noticed the signs near my house, suddenly these signs seem to be everywhere in Seattle. I feel like they weren't there in 2025. Are they all new, or did I not notice them before and I've been driving around breaking laws? Great question. And where did they all come from? Are they really going to help improve pedestrian safety that much? Also, why put the signs on 3 directions of an intersection but not the 4th? Are the southbound cars really less likely to get into a pedestrian accident than the north, east, and westbound cars?
Great question.
Yeah, these are all really good questions. We sat on this email for a little while because we were like, we want to actually be able to dive into this a bit more. Jane, you from research are finding out that we're starting to phase out right turning on red in Washington?
That's right. So backing up, I did not know this, but I learned from the state of Colorado's Department of Transportation website that right on red dates back to the energy crisis from the 1970s during the gas shortage.
Whoa.
So there was the Energy Policy and Conservation Act, which was enacted in 1975, which required states to permit right on red as an energy saving measure, which is wild. I didn't realize that there was some kind of federal top-down instructions to make that a thing. So here in Seattle with Vision Zero, basically any time that the Seattle Department of Transportation is making improvements to an intersection, like they're switching out traffic signals or signage, they are adding that right on red signage. You know, it's funny, this question was so compelling to me because I had the same question. I started noticing this maybe about a year ago, that at intersections that I knew quite well, all of a sudden there was a no turn on red sign. And I also was like, wait, have I been breaking the law this whole time? When did these show up? And I do think sometimes they literally show up in the middle of the night from some people's perception, because maybe they got put in the week before and you just hadn't been at that intersection. I'm curious, Chase, Sam, have you all noticed this as well?
Yes, I've noticed them many, many a times. The only thing I'm like curious about, does this apply to bikes? Are bikes not supposed to turn right on red? Does the bike lane have its exemption?
It's a great question, and that I do not know.
Okay. It sounds like there should be some sort of greater push out of education about explaining what the kind of do's and don'ts here are. Obviously, the don't turn on red, but I'd be curious about some more of the like specifics of it, especially the bike question.
Right. Yeah, and I think that as far as I understand it, it's not yet a blanket city policy that you can't turn right on red at any intersection. It's just that they're really trying to prioritize putting up more signage, especially at busy intersections, to dissuade that. And to answer this listener's question about whether this actually does help with safety, there is a lot of research that suggests that it does. So an early 2025 report from the Mineta Transportation Institute at San Jose State in California, they found that most drivers don't come to a complete stop at these intersections if they're turning right, and that right turn collisions at intersections with signals were responsible for 39,000 collisions and 217 fatalities between 2011 and 2022 in California. So over that 11-year period, 200 people died in part because of these right turn on red collisions. And there was also a report that was published in 2022 from a pilot program in Washington, D.C., where they were studying how cars behaved at intersections before and after they put these no turn on red signs. So they studied 100 different intersections in 2019. And what they found was that the no turn on red signs vastly decreased the possibility that these cars were going to turn right into pedestrians. So it decreased these pedestrian car conflicts. However, the cars did still encroach on the sidewalk. Like, you know how sometimes when you're a pedestrian and a car wants to turn right and they kind of like creep into the crosswalk, that study showed that the cars still do that. Like, I think sometimes drivers are impatient, me included sometimes, you know. But I think the important fact here is that people are more likely to stop and then just wait because it tells you to stop and you gotta wait. So to answer the listener's question, it seems like there is a fair amount of evidence right now that it really can help decrease these accidents.
I think the thing that I think about, and not to get too big into like we should rethink our relationship to car culture, but this is basically a small scale proof of, hey, if there were less like points of contact between maybe a car and a pedestrian, hopefully accidents will go down, which then to me just means I would love to have it be that I never had to drive anywhere ever again and could take the train everywhere I needed to go. I love doing that. I've been doing that more and more recently because you just then don't have to worry about driving anything. Because I imagine that the people that are driving, the reason they're impatient is because it's awful being in a car a little bit. You're trapped in this space. You're wanting to get going. Obviously, not an excuse for if you're being reckless, but the whole thing is a sign that, I don't know, maybe it could be a win-win if we build off of this and look a little bit closely at situations where there aren't cars and that there are more spaces built for people first. A radical idea, I know, but that's kind of what I take away from it as a big picture.
It's making me think about, we had Devin Leger on the podcast like 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about Ballard drivers and like the slowness, and he had this sort of hilarious take on it, which was like, people should be slowing down, and I don't mind sitting at an entire green light if somebody's not going, like, well, you know, whatever. I don't know if I would go that far personally, but I do sort of feel like, you know, car culture is convenience culture. There's a sense of like, you know, as somebody who takes both public transportation and drives, often I'm getting in my car because I'm running late for something and I can't move at the pace of public transportation. And then there's a sort of urgency that I feel around like, okay, I need to get where I'm going. Why is everybody in my way? And when I have encountered the no right turn on red, often I stop and wait, and I've noticed cars behind me will start honking.
Yes.
Because they want to turn, and they're like, oh, I was able to turn here before, or I've been ignoring this sign. And so I think like overall car culture has this sense of, I'm trying to get where I'm going fast, everyone else be damned. And if we forced people to slow down a little bit, I think you would see less of these kinds of moments of collision where someone's really not paying attention to anyone else around them.
Really feels like a system-wide thing too, because when you say all of that, Sam, it makes me think about how sometimes people don't have a choice about being in a rush.
Mm-hmm.
Just the sheer number of people in the city who get around or work as a delivery driver, whether that's delivering packages, picking up and delivering food, it seems like that is just part of the fabric of the city at this point, and it's really hard to get away from. And all of those systems incentivize speed, and often you're trying to navigate an app, you know, like say you're an Uber or Lyft driver, you're trying to figure out like, where's this person I'm picking up, or where do I drop them off? And I have a lot of empathy for that. It also seems so difficult to change that culture of urgency without changing everything.
Mm-hmm.
But as Katie Wilson said in her State of the City address on Tuesday about this particular collision, we have to do better. I don't know exactly what that means and if we are able to do that with any particular one strategy. But for now, it does seem like the city's efforts to ramp up right on red might be a good place to start. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about drones. As a city, we're still reeling from the big Seahawks win and the epic Sunny Parade from last week, but news has come out this week that some revelers are having a bad time now. Como reports that a joint state and federal defense team says it spotted at least 30 unauthorized drones in the sky during the Seahawks parade, and they're pursuing criminal charges against one of those drone operators. Okay, what I want to know is how does one catch a drone operator? And also what are the concerns here? Sam, I know you have gone deep on this.
Yeah, I did a quick deep dive on all things drones in our county and in our city. I've learned that apparently King County has a team that deals with drones. It's called the King County Ground Intercept Team. Um,
Epic name. Great.
yeah, it's a little confusing because you're intercepting something in the sky from the ground, but anyway, not to get pedantic with it.
Ground sky intercept team.
Yeah. Um, Apparently, during the Seahawks parade, they interrupted 8 drone flights and were able to contact 7 of those pilots. And those pilots that they contacted grounded their drones and they were given warnings, basically, that they were flying without a permit. Because the FAA had issued flight restrictions in the area at the time of the parade,
Right.
I think for security concerns. And so people who were flying drones needed to get a permit in advance, essentially waiving that restriction. So some news stations did that. I think Como was flying a drone that they had gotten permission for, things like that. But I guess this team was looking for drones that didn't have permits, that weren't accounted for. And my understanding is that there's an app you can download when you operate drones that you essentially get like notifications on about like what the FAA regulations are in that area, what other sort of flight things you should be looking out for. And I imagine similar to like ships, you know, you can contact a ship that you see in the distance or whatever, like through the radio. I think probably a similar thing is happening with these drones. And so the pilots that were contacted were like, okay, the sheriff's department is contacting me. I better
Fascinating.
ground my drone.
You get like a push notification from the sheriff being like, bring it down.
I mean, this is what I'm imagining. So if our listeners who are drone operators out there, I wonder what that Venn diagram looks like. But
It's a circle.
Yeah, let us know. But one of those 8 drones ignored the warnings and operated inside of the stadium. And the King County Sheriff's Office is now seeking reckless endangerment charges against that person. And federal authorities are seeking criminal charges and fines. From what I read, drone operators who enter restricted airspace around stadiums can face civil penalties of up to $75,000.
Dang.
Which is a pretty steep fee for what I imagine is like a couple $1,000 device that you're flying. That seems not worth it.
I get a security concern in the broad sense of you just don't want random objects flying around in the sky. Maybe you don't know the quality of the operator / are they called pilots?
I think so.
Are you a drone pilot? Okay.
They got their goggles.
Let's assume they're called pilots. Yes. So if you're a drone pilot and you're like not that good at it, you don't want someone to get hit in the face, right? Like
Totally.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out like what are the concerns here about safety? Like why $75,000 seems like a steep fine, but what other concerns are there?
This is a little wild. I read this and I was like, wow, this is a next level concern. But the Washington National Guard actually used Lumen Field last November to simulate drone attacks in preparation for the World Cup this year. So there's a
no, this is real.
Yeah. So there's a sense, I guess, that because drones have advanced so much recently, like even the small ones might be able to carry a weapon into a crowded stadium.
No.
And so I think they're wanting essentially to be able to track what is in the airspace and has it been permitted so that if an unidentified drone enters the airspace, it can be dealt with.
I think
for a while, I was keeping a list on my phone of like all the ways that we could potentially die. And that is one of the ones that I had not considered, but I guess I got to add it now.
New Nightmare.
Do you remember that Australian commercial that was like dumb ways to die and it was a song? This is
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
New Nightmare just dropped. Great. So I realized I don't know that much about what the rules are of being a drone pilot. So Sam, you mentioned that there are FAA restrictions. I seem to remember that you need a license, and it seems like in this particular case for the parade, you needed a permit. So what are the rules?
So you have to register your drone when you get it, if it's above a certain size. For special events, you need a City of Seattle master film permit. But generally speaking, drone use is not allowed in City of Seattle parks. They're prohibited in the 31 wilderness areas in Washington. In Washington state parks, you need a permit basically in order to have a drone there. So people, from what I was reading, often are launching their drones from places where it's not restricted and then flying over areas where it is. Because they're not regulating the airspace in the same way, unless the FAA has restrictions in that airspace. And then there are also issues around like our lakes where we have seaplanes flying.
Lake Union on a sunny day is already so chaotic. I feel like throwing drones into the air is a whole different level.
Yeah, kind of terrifying. Personally, I just find them really annoying. Like the sound that they make is like a large mosquito.
I do not like the buzzing.
Yeah, and it has ruined many a hike for me.
Oh,
Like-
you've seen them out on hikes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Like if you go to any of the sort of popular, once the snow starts melting, hikes like Lake 22 or any of the sort of more alpine lakes, people love to fly a drone over the lake and get that like shot over the top, which, you know, it's beautiful. But my God, like I've gone all the way out there to hear nature, not to hear your small mosquito sounds.
This is literally yelling at cloud, where it's like, no, please don't do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
When did these get popular? I feel like I missed a step in the drone process. Like I feel like the last time I was cued into drones, it was mostly kind of a pie in the sky idea. I remember people talking about drone deliveries potentially being the future. But now all of a sudden I feel like we've jumped into this world where like drones just seem to be everywhere and I don't know what any of the rules are or when everyone got drones. Do you all have any sense of when these got more popular? Like when did you start seeing them on hikes and things?
I feel like pandemic era, when you were not going outside, I feel like that was a spike. I would need to do some more looking into it, but just anecdotally noticed a lot more, even just in my neighborhood. It started to become a thing where at a certain point during the day, you would hear that buzz and it's like, it's noon. It's like the the bell chiming. You would know that was the witching hour for drones going by.
Not the witching hour.
So like while the rest of us were just like doing puzzles, these guys were studying the blade, like they were getting their like drone pilot's license or whatever. Fascinating.
I do. So one of my good friends' stepdads got really into drones in like the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years.
Such a stepdad thing to get into.
Really is. And one time we were out towards like Belfair area and there was really bad traffic and he decided to launch the drone out of the moonroof of the car. So that he could see how far out the traffic went, but the drone wasn't fully charged, and so it died partway through its little reconnaissance mission, and we had to like pull the car off the road so he could go like track down where it had landed.
No. You know, I've also heard about drone pirates who can hijack the frequency on which you're flying the drone, and then they're like, well, that's my drone now. And then they make off with your $10,000 drone or whatever.
Brave New World.
So it really is. Well, coming back real quick to this matter at hand of this drone pilot being prosecuted, is this a good use of resources? Do we want to see this person face consequences for flying this drone without a permit?
Generally,
not standing down.
Yes, not bringing it down. I'm generally not a super big like punishment type of person. I don't think it actually discourages people. In this case, if they were given the opportunity to ground the plane and they chose not to do that, I can understand that being a tough thing. I don't know exactly how this would proceed, but it is a public safety thing. And I think that's where, while again, I'm not a big person on punishment, you do have to think of your responsibility to the collective, to the community. So hopefully this will just be kind of a thing of, hey, we gave you a chance to ground the drone. You didn't do that. Now we have to like take this step, but who knows? Maybe this will invigorate the drone community. They will, in protest, take to the skies. I don't know.
As a on the record drone hater, I don't think this person should face like criminal charges. I think that's kind of going above and beyond. But maybe they should like have to pick up all of the garbage after the World Cup or something. Like, you know, like deal with the participating in the sports madness. Obviously, it's too late for them to help with cleanup post parade, but you know, some kind of community service that gives back to the folks that were probably understandably freaked out by seeing a drone over the stadium.
Would they be able to use the drone to pick up the garbage? Is that
no?
Okay.
I think their drone.
You gotta do it with your hands.
Their pilot's license maybe should be stripped for a period of time.
You know what this sounds like to me is when a toddler or even early elementary school kid is playing with their like remote control car, and it's like, we told you to put it away and you didn't put it away, but now we need to clean up and we need to go to timeout. And so maybe we need a little cleanup and a little timeout.
Yeah, like stop running your toy car into everyone's shins. It's time to take a nap and maybe like regulate your nervous system a little bit.
All right, well, we're going to take a little nap as well. Really, really quick one after these messages. And we'll come back and talk about the best places to cry. There's a lot going on in the world right now. Sometimes you just got to be in your feels for a bit. Like maybe your drone just got taken away. Or honestly, there's a lot more serious things going on in the world. But this came up in one of our meetings recently. If you needed to cry, just have a good cry. Where is the best place in town to do that? So before we jump into that, I do want to set some parameters. So what are our criteria here? Like what makes a good place to cry? Like do we want someplace private-ish so you can be alone? Do you want it to be kind of public so you can just blend in?
I think it's
do we care about views? Yeah, what's the mood?
I think it's a combo of both, which I won't tip off then to what my answer is, but I think I've got the perfect one that has the best of both worlds, where it's public but also private.
Ooh, okay. Well, Sam, what do you think?
I mean, personally, I think a place with a view is a good spot to cry. I love like the old Queen Anne walkway out past Cary Park. You're like staring out at the view. You could be moved by seeing the water and the mountains all in one place and shed a tear, or you could be crying about something else and no one would know. I have never been to the Seattle Wheel, but I do think the Wheel pods are a great place to have a cry, a little emotional moment.
I think I might cry in there just because it seems slightly terrifying.
Yeah, totally. You could be terrified. You could be horrified by the fact that we've created yet another tourist trap that charges way too much money. Speaking of driving and having feelings while you're driving, I love a on the highway scream. Just let out your feelings while you're driving without impacting anyone else.
A car is a good one. All right, Chase, what do you think?
So everyone's gonna get mad because I sound like a cliche. A movie theater. Heartbreak feels good in a place like this. It's a place where the lights are down. You're having a shared emotional experience. No one can really see you. They maybe could if they like looked directly at you or were part of your party. But again, then you can share in that emotional moment together. I would love to have it be, I don't think I've cried in like every movie theater I've been into, but if anyone has cried in every Seattle movie theater, let me know, because I love that something can make you feel so deeply. Because I think I've cried in a couple movie theaters of things that just kind of really hit me. So that's my pick.
They should make like a stamp card or like a punch card for crying in movie theaters, and then you get like a free ticket to see like one of the saddest movies or whatever.
Amazing. I think Chicago does something called like Bleak Week. We need like a sob Saturday as part of Bleak Week. You need like a movie to just totally cry for, because that can be, it obviously is like sad, but it can feel good to cry. It can feel good to kind of let that emotion out when you're experiencing
Do you
something.
have a go-to movie, Chase, for crying?
It's gonna be something cliche. Probably
Lay
like
on
The
us.
Notebook.
Probably like The Iron Giant from when I was a kid.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that one hits me. The one I think I remember in Seattle that kind of hit me was the Kogonada film Columbus with Haley Lou Richardson and former Seattleite John Cho. It's like a small scale movie of two people in this small town of Columbus that's like an architectural wonder, just kind of hanging out together. And I won't say anything more than that, but that one really hit me at the Sif Uptown. Geez, 6 years ago? Oh, God.
As a teenager, it was Atonement for me. I saw Atonement in theaters and literally could not leave my seat for quite a while afterwards because I was sobbing so much. And then more recently, I saw The TV Glow. Really, really got me.
I remember seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once at Majestic Bay in Ballard, and I was just a complete mess for 15 minutes afterwards. We're just like standing outside on Market Street and I'm just sobbing.
I would just love to do laundry and taxes with you. It's great.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, where is the last public place you cried? Was it a movie theater or was it somewhere else?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chase says.
Or like outside of a festival at like a movie theater where you're just over stressed and running around and you're just like, oh, man.
I cried at the movies last night.
Really?
What'd you see?
Wow.
Wuthering Heights.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Were these tears of like sadness that the movie was like succeeding with, or tears of sadness of, oh, what have I done?
It was a little bit of both, honestly. Like, I was a little bit upset that I was moved to tears because I was like, this shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be achieving this with me, but somehow it is. It was like a couple of tears. You know, I wasn't like weeping in the theater, but
lone
it was
tear
a cry.
going down and like, oh.
I'm going to put a plug in for Green Lake. I have had great success walking around Green Lake at night. It's so dark there at night because there's really no street lamps, so no one will see you. However, one of the times I was doing that, I happened to run into my neighbors who were so sweet about it. But I was like, oh, this really ruined my whole plan for nobody to see me crying walking around Green Lake. But you get the nice views, you get a little bit of outside time, so you get the endorphins to try and balance out the tears. But it's a good place.
This is why you don't want lights at Green Lake, Jane, right?
I mean, honestly, a little bit. I think there are other good reasons for wildlife and just generally preserving dark skies. But me personally, as having a place to cry, yeah, that's a good one. I also wanted to plug that if crying is not your thing to release emotion, I recently learned about a Scream Club. So their Scream Club SEA on Instagram. I've not yet been. I would love to hear from people who have. They do them at Golden Gardens in Ballard and also Lincoln Park in West Seattle. It seems like a really just nice cathartic experience to scream with a bunch of people and just let out some of that energy.
I would go with you, Jane. I would love to go scream with
say.
some strangers.
Okay. CityCast field trip. We're going to go to Scream Club. If you want to join us, we'll see you there. And I also just wanted to say, like, if you were truly having a hard time, because it is a tough time right now, 988 is always a crisis hotline if you need to talk to someone. If you're looking for a therapist, Psychology Today is a great place to start to look for someone who might be a good fit for you. I mean, I don't want to make too light of crying, but sometimes, you know, it's like we need to do something about the root of that crying. So wanted to mention that in case anybody finds that helpful. All right, that's all for today here at CityCast Seattle. Chase, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Sam, thank you for bringing your deep drone knowledge to us.
I apologize in advance to any drone operators I offended. Please don't come and spy on my house.
I'm your host, Jane Sihu. And if you are a drone operator, please, actually, if you're that drone operator that's being charged, I would love to talk to you. Also, if you have thoughts on, I don't know, best places to cry in Seattle, shoot us an email at seattle@citycast.fm. You can also text us or leave us a voicemail on the CityCast hotline at 206-880-3931. And big thank you to Britton for asking that question about Right on Red. I had a great time looking into the research about that. I also wanted to shout out our new CityCast neighbors, David H., Jung A. K., Adam A., Sarah L., Karen S., Nicholas M., Michael T., Brendan S., Kelsey M., and Liam E. Thank you all so much for your support. If you want to join all of these great people and become a CityCast Seattle neighbor, you can do so at membership.citycast.fm/Seattle. And if you're enjoying the podcast, follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen so you never miss an episode. Leave us a little review. That's really helpful. And tell your friends about us. You can also get more local news and events delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter. Just go to seattle.citycast.fm. And you can find us on Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at CityCast Seattle. Until next time, see ya, Seattle.